Really? The huge impact of monthly checks for the low income. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. Alright, now in this video, I do want to discuss the details of a new report that was just released discussing the major positive impact of regular ongoing monthly checks for the low income. The report also goes on to talk about how poverty is a policy choice. In other words, the actions out of Congress, or maybe I should say the inaction out of Congress right now, is causing millions and millions of people to live in poverty every single year. Some simple actions out of Congress and a very simple solution of ongoing regular monthly checks for the low income would lift millions and millions of people out of poverty. That's exactly what the report is talking about, and I want to discuss those details for you right here in the video because it's a lot easier than what Congress is actually making it out to be. So let's get into it and talk through all the details. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video. As I am your one and only daily advocate, I'm very much dedicated to you and this community. I'm watching all this new information hitting the wire every single day, along with all the announcements. I'm taking all that information, doing the necessary research, and breaking it all down into these short videos, which I deliver a couple times throughout the day, so you can stay updated with what is actually going on during this very busy time. And as we continue to get all the announcements out of the administration, the president, lawmakers, Congress, and everything that they're currently working on, including anything pertaining to new bills and packages, proposals and amendments, reform to fixed income benefits, money, checks, programs, raises to benefits, stimulus, anything else along these lines. Of course, I'm watching it all closely and bringing you those updates right here in the video. So again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. I'll continue to be here for you right by your side every single day, as that's my commitment, and as always, I'm sticking to it. All right, thanks again. Let's jump into it and talk about poverty being a policy choice. Yep, that's totally true. Lawmakers are deciding that people should live in poverty. That's basically what it comes down to. I mean, seriously, what a sad, messed up system. But that's the way that they're doing it. So let's talk through the details about it. All right, so here's the deal. This report came out, and honestly, the report nailed it. This is actually a really good report, and it came right down to it, and it nailed the details about people living in poverty in the United States, how many people are living in poverty, and a very easy solution that Congress can implement right away if they wanted to lift a lot of people out of poverty. Let me tell you some numbers behind this. These numbers are huge. We're not talking about like 5 people. We're talking about 45 million people. Let me tell you the details about this. So just in 2020 and 2021, those 2 years alone, when what they were doing during that time is, guess what they were doing? Sending out stimulus checks, sending out enhanced unemployment benefits. They were sending out enhanced SNAP benefits. There were also things like utility assistance, housing assistance, rental assistance, all kinds of different programs out there. We went through all of them back in the day when all these programs were out and they were alive and well, and all these different programs were popping up. We were talking about them at the time. Now again, right now there are still some of these programs going on, but for the most part, a lot of these programs have either stopped or ran out of money, or they just, haven't been renewed, things like this. Well, as a result of that, between the years of 2020 and 2021, with the multiple stimulus packages that they passed, between all of those packages containing about $6 trillion, it lifted, guess what? 45 million people out of poverty just in those 2 years alone. That's pretty amazing, right? Well, unfortunately, as a result of 2022, when they've done virtually nothing, they've done nothing for us in 2022. Unfortunately, they're projecting that a lot more people are going to fall back into poverty this year in 2022 simply because they've done nothing this year when it comes to stimulus, enhanced unemployment benefits, housing vouchers, enhanced rental assistance, utility assistance, food assistance, all kinds of things like this that have been drying up and or stopping. As a result of that, many more people will be falling into poverty. So in this report, they actually said it very, very clearly. They simply said, look what lawmakers did, look what Congress did in the years of 2020 and 2021. They very clearly came together. They passed trillions of dollars worth of stimulus in the form of, like I said, ongoing stimulus checks, whether it was the $1,200, the $600, or the $1,400 stimulus checks that we've talked about so many times here on the channel, or the enhanced unemployment benefits that we've also talked about so many times here as well. So during that time, there were millions of people that were unemployed who were getting the enhanced benefits, right? They were also getting the enhanced child tax credit payments last year in 2021. There were so many different types of payments that were going out. And as a result of that, 45 million people were lifted out of poverty. That's a huge number. So considering how many people are currently living in poverty in the United States, that's a huge percentage, right? 45 million people being lifted out just in those 2 years alone. But again, like I said, they're projecting that a lot of people are going to fall back into poverty because of the lack of additional support, monthly checks, or things like that. However, the report goes on to show that simply by implementing ongoing monthly checks, and they're not talking about $1,200 checks, $1,400 checks, or anything huge like that. They're simply saying that ongoing monthly checks of something as simple as even $500 a month for low-income individuals would once again lift millions of people out of poverty permanently if they were to do this. So this would be like a guaranteed basic income program, or more like a universal basic income program that would be highly focused on the low-income and of course, fixed income beneficiaries. A small monthly stipend, in other words, a small monthly amount going out to people. And again, a few $100s. That's really all it would really take for the vast majority of people right now. We don't necessarily, again, I'm not saying that we don't need it, but again, I'm basically just saying that they wouldn't need to send out necessarily a $1,400 ongoing check every single month. You know what I mean? It would certainly be nice. A lot of people would really enjoy that. It would help out a ton of people in a really big way. But what they're finding with these reports is they basically don't really need a ton of money like that. All they really need to help out the most people right now, to get most people out of poverty, is only a few $100, $300, $400, $500 a month is what the vast majority of people need right now to be lifted out of poverty permanently on an ongoing basis. So this report that went on was actually discussing this very, very well, and they actually did talk about how poverty is a policy choice, because we have these 2 years, 2020 and 2021, that laid it out very clearly for us. We could very clearly see that when Congress actually came together and they worked together for like the first time in their lives, they actually did something. They came together on all these packages, they passed them through, which appropriated trillions of dollars of spending to help out all the low income and virtually a lot of people. Now again, there's a lot of different conversations out there right now saying that, oh, all these stimulus packages caused inflation. Well, we can talk about that in a separate video. Now again, when it comes down to it, yes, some of those stimulus packages probably did cause some of the inflation, but again, it's because all its money was sent out to virtually all Americans. 85% of the population got money during 2020 and 2021. That's a lot of people. Now, here's the thing. If they were to highly focus these checks and ongoing checks and these other programs on the low income and fixed income, the inflationary impacts would be very minimal versus what we saw in 2020 and 2021. And currently right now, all of that is actually causing the inflation that we're dealing with now. But if they actually had highly focused payments just for the low income, the inflationary impacts would be very minimal. In fact, we probably wouldn't even see inflationary impacts upon it, simply because the number of people that would be receiving payments would be a very small percentage of our population, maybe like 15% of our population versus 85% of our population. That's the difference, right? So they're actually talking about that in this report that I'm talking about. Super interesting report, really well done. And again, they're talking about how poverty is literally a policy choice. Lawmakers, with their inaction, not doing anything about this, they have the abilities, they have the authority, and they have the means to actually do this, whereas they can actually pass through, $100 billion, $500 billion, whatever it happened to be, to send out ongoing monthly checks. And again, even a $200 per month raise to Social Security benefits, for example, just like we've talked about in the Social Security Expansion Act, that bill that was introduced by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and a handful of other Democratic senators, that alone would be life-changing for about 70 million beneficiaries receiving Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA. Could you imagine that? An extra $200 per month right now, or about $2,400 a year, would be absolutely life-changing for the vast majority of people, right? So the fact of the matter is, and again, I've actually asked many of you here on the channel over the last, 6 months or so, I've had a video or two out where I've actually said, how much do you really need right now? And it's actually interesting because as I've read through the comments on those videos, the vast majority of people say, all I need is an extra $200. All I need is an extra 300. All I need is an extra 500. There were only a small percentage of people that actually reached out and said, I really need an extra 1,000 a month right now. But again, the vast majority were probably anywhere between the $200 and $500 range every single month. And that's exactly what they're finding with this report as well. So it's official, according to this report, and as we've talked about so many times here on the channel, poverty is unfortunately a policy choice. They found this in the years of 2020 and 2021 with the money that went out to people. This simple act out of Congress, this simple act out of the legislation that they can appropriate, again, Congress has this ability, right? That's the whole point behind Congress. They are the elected officials that we apparently put in place, and they sit there and do whatever they do, but they have the ability to spend all of our money, right? All of our taxpayer dollars, the thousands and thousands of dollars that people pay in, the tens of thousands of dollars that you've paid in over years and years of your life, all of this money, they have the ability to spend it. How do you like that, right? And what do they do with it? Do they ever give it back to you? Well, maybe sometimes. It's not very often though, right? So again, very interesting how the tables turn on this thing, right? So on one hand, you pay in all this tax dollars, Congress has the ability to spend it, and do they very often take that money and spend it on you? Well, probably not. They usually don't, right? Except for 2020 and 2021, they actually gave a little bit back. But again, because of all this inflation right now, they're basically getting it all back in record time, right? Just like so many people here on the channel have said over the last year or two, I've seen a lot of comments down below saying, yeah, watch, they're giving it now, but just wait, they'll be right back and they'll be asking for it all back. Well, they're technically not asking for it back, but essentially they are pretty much getting it all back with all this massive inflation that has been inflicted on us over the last couple of years, and now we're all paying for it right now. Super sad situation. But anyway, we can clearly see from these reports, we can clearly see from the years of 2020 and 2021, these examples that were given, that we can easily see that poverty is a choice, right? They're choosing this. They can actually do something about this. Yes, it's going to cause a little bit of money or cost a little bit of money, but here's the fact of the matter. If they spend the money on us, the low income, the fixed income, if they don't spend it on the low income or fixed income, guess what they're going to do with that money? Are they going to save it? No, they're going to blow it on some other project, right? We all know this. We're all smart enough to know this. That's what they do. If they have money, they spend it. If they don't have money, guess what they do? They spend it anyway, right? I mean, this is just what Congress does. They're pros at spending money that they don't have. So anyway, I just want to come back and share with you this report. I found it to be very, very interesting. A great report, really well done. But again, it's showing the impacts and how all of these choices that were made are literally just a choice, and they can actually change this if they just wanted to do so. They could lift millions of people out of poverty if they wanted to, and it would not take that much action. So who knows? We'll have to see what actually happens here. But like I've been saying for a little while now, for probably about, I'm going to say probably 2 years now, for probably mid-2020, I've been saying this. Watch these programs, Guaranteed Basic Income and Universal Basic Income programs. We've been seeing these pop up all over the country over the last couple of years, and they continue to come up more and more. Right now, states are sitting on billions of dollars. As a result of that, we're going to continue to see more of these Guaranteed Basic Income programs popping up. I'm still standing by this. I would not be shocked one bit within the next couple years here if we see a Guaranteed Basic Income program on the nationwide level, out of the federal government. I would not be shocked one bit at all. In fact, I anticipate that to happen. Why? The Federal Reserve is currently working on something called FedCoin. It's a digital coin that's going to be basically distributed by the Federal Reserve, right? It's a digital currency like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, like a digital currency, but it's going to be, administered, or it's going to be distributed by the Federal Reserve. As a result of that, I've seen many, many reports coming out talking about how this could be the way that they could easily deposit FedCoin into your account. So anyway, we can talk about all the details about that in a separate video. Again, super interesting topic. I'd love to talk about that more in a separate video. But again, that's a huge another huge topic that we can dive into really deep. But again, basically when they roll that thing out, that's going to be pretty much the start of kind of like a nationwide basic income program, because super easy for them to do. Digital currency, boom, boom, done. They got it into your account in literally no time at all. It's instant. They can have instant transactions into your account. So anyway, let's get into that in a separate video. That's a huge topic on itself. But anyway, want to come back for you, share this report with you, talk about poverty being a policy choice and what Congress can do if they just wanted to do so, and what it would mean for a lot of people, millions of low-income people. Anyway, I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, have a good one, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the